As some of you know, my introduction to the Hollow Knight games was through Silksong, and then after I played Hollow Knight. And I can safely say after experiencing these beautiful, expansive worlds, I know absolutely nothing about the lore. And people have been telling me it's a rite of passage to watch Mossbag's mostly complete lore of Hollow Knight. Coming from a Silksong player that basically knows nothing of what's going on, I watched the video.
If you were to ask me, what is your favorite video game ever made? I would have to say Cory in the House for the Nintendo DS.
Based!
There's a Hollow Knight book, a line of plushies,
Oh, those are adorable. Oh,
nicotine
that's
patches,
less adorable.
nuclear warheads.
What? Oh, okay.
And Christopher Larkin's score and art.
The GOAT!
Artwork. You can sense the ancient history of the land when you look at dilapidated structures or giant barred doors.
This is true. It's really
Nothing
well
feels
designed.
like it was put into the game randomly. There's a reason for it all. Except those reasons aren't the easiest to
What is
uncover.
that? I've never seen
Hollow
that
Knight's
before.
narrative, we've even made it to the point where people are looking at the in-game signs to try and decipher Hallownest's logographic language.
I'm really wondering how much Team Cherry had, like, written up. Because obviously, you know, the fan bases are going to go crazy. They're going to try to, like, translate everything, make sense of everything, you know, like, make a timeline, everything, all that. I wonder how much of this is actually going to be accurate to what Team Cherry designed. Or if Team Cherry just, like, for some of these, like, for, like, the symbols, they just threw in a bunch of bull. they threw in a bunch of that was like, yeah, this looks kind of cool. This looks like it could be a word in some language. But it's not meant to mean anything. And, you know, people are just, like, reading into it more than they should. But it'd be cool if they actually had, like, a whole thing, like, mapped out, designed, and, like, everything was purposeful. Obviously, most of the things in this game is purposeful. Like, most of it has a purpose of being there, like, you know, Mossbag says. But I'm wondering how much is, like, they kind of just put it in to put it in.
Too lazy to read, then I suggest you sit back, order some Domino's pizza.
Can't do that.
Or just
I'm
grab
poor.
a block of cheese from the fridge.
Hell yeah,
and
don't
enjoy
have
the
that.
From the Mosskin born from the dream of a giant slug to the emo kids of the ancient civilization who literally
they were born from
the dream of a giant slug.
Does that make sense? I guess that makes sense, yeah.
At the time Hollow Knight occurs, it is suggested there are no worms left in the world. They were incredibly long creatures that featured little to no limbs.
Born from the worm?
Another more mysterious property of worms was that
where
they
did he
had
come
some
out
kind
of?
of prescience or foresight. Basically, they could see the future to some capacity. It is explained that this worm traveled across the distant mountains and wastelands beyond Hallownest. Once it arrived in Hallownest, the worm died.
Oh.
Except not really. Inside the maw of the carcass sits a pale broken egg, out of which hatched a new form of worm, a being of meager shell. This form of the worm is usually referred to as the Pale King. Worms pull bugs into their thrall, till ages pass and kingdoms fall. In other words, it's just in their nature. Dogs wag their tails, cats bury their and worms bring massive amounts of bugs into the
Why did he say that so aggressively? Does he not like cats? Okay, anyways. The thing, okay, if their worms are basically gods, and then the Pale King comes from the worm, and he's basically a god, why are there no other beings from worms that we see? Is that just because, well, he did say that's the only one that went to Hallownest. So I guess that makes sense, because we're only confined to Hallownest. I'm stupid. Alright, moving on.
and began to build his eternal kingdom, Hallownest. There's this one slight problem. There's like people already living there. The area that would eventually become Hallownest.
Whoa! Oh my god, this looks beautiful. Holy, wow, this is so incredibly detailed. Was this made by fans or by Team Cherry themselves? Dude, I love art like this so much, bro. When you actually give artists like plenty of time, whether they be indie or not indie, to like, just like do their they create something so beautiful and unforgettable. But they just literally just need to be given the time. That is it.
One of the more receptive groups to the arrival of the Pale King were the mushrooms of the fungal wastes.
Is that because they don't really
These
think?
creatures were
They don't
able
really
to
care?
communicate with one another through one shared mind.
Oh,
The
they're a hive
mushrooms
mind.
viewed this shared mind as a strength, and they were kind of smug dickheads about it. Ultimately, these Fight Club enthusiasts were led by 4 powerful Mantis Lords, who I guess just kind of sat around waiting for outsiders to
Just pretend there's another Mantis here. Again, I put together the pieces that was the traitor lord. Obviously, I didn't really know why. I'm assuming just because his kid died, so he became a traitor. But it's interesting that the mushrooms are all a hive mind. I guess it makes sense. But are they all under the hive mind of the big shroom? The big shroom that's dead? Or are they under the hive mind of like just the spores? Is that how that works? I don't know.
In exchange for their independence from Hallownest, the Mantis tribe kept the beasts of Deep Nest from invading Hallownest. Not sure why they didn't just go out the other exits from Deep Nest, but whatever. I'm not an expert on Border Patrol. I don't work at ICE anymore.
Okay, this is a little bit... Whoa, we're getting topical. This did not age well. Alright, skipping. Do I put that in the video? I don't know if I put that in the video. I'm thinking about it.
We know that the Spiders of Deep Nest had a monarchy because why not? Those are always good, right?
Oh god.
Also, this group was known as the Weavers, and they established their own culture and history within Deep Nest. There is this giant mushroom corpse in the fungal core, but I don't think this is a higher being.
Really?
I mean, who the hell would want to worship a fat-ass mushroom?
I would.
Fat-ass slugs? Now that's dope.
That is pretty
dope.
The
land we know as Greenpath was created by the higher being known as Un, but it seems like they allowed the king to establish a road through their lands, leading travelers to the heart of Hallownest. Hence the name Greenpath. Yeah, Team Cherry really racked their brains when naming this area, didn't they? Next, we have
Alright, give comes from Slack, first of all. They made a great game. Second of all, I think it's... Okay, so she's an actual god, which I kind of assumed. Big slug, give me charm. Big god. I assumed that much. But if she can dream the entirety of civilization of the area into effect... Why couldn't she deal with the Pale King? Why couldn't she deal with that shit? Is that how powerful they are? Because I'm assuming, because the worms sound like they are a being that can be God, and the Pale King is born from that, and he's trying to create his own civilization. So he's more of a king and less of a god, but he's still a powerful figure. But if Un is just a straight god or goddess, I guess, why can't she just think he's dead or think all the evil dead? I don't know. Or maybe she could just create soldiers that are strong enough to deal with it or something like that, right? She still has power. Or is she dying? I don't know. Maybe we'll get to it.
The Moth tribe was born from a higher being known as the Radiance.
The
Radiance is described as being a light in which the Moth tribe...
Oh, I didn't know. Oh, okay, well I guess it makes sense because it went into a dream. I thought the Radiance was like a version of the Pale King. Okay, I was really confused with that. It makes sense though. Looking at Radiance, it does make sense.
Essence can take the form of whispering roots, as well as dream ghosts, both of which are memories taking root in the world.
Oh, okay, so they were memories that were planted that took form, so I was right. So I guess it doesn't mean that a certain person actually planted them there.
Un has green particles, the Pale King has gray particles, and this sexy character named Grim gives off fiery red particles.
Hell yeah, he does.
Basically, the Moths turn their backs on the Radiance completely in order to worship the new light that had appeared, the Pale King's light.
Oh.
So yeah, Moths are assholes in this game too. With her tribe forsaking her, the Radiance became a forgotten memory, a remnant of the past, and a thing that's definitely not going to come up again later in this video.
Wait, that's kind of crazy how turning their backs on their creator, right? Because the Radiance created them. That's the higher being. That is more or less their god. And then they just see the Pale King who was born from a worm, like this outer variable coming in. They're like, yeah, this guy's cooler. I mean, I guess fair. I get it.
Unfortunately, to better understand this, we're going to have to read some poetry.
No!
Basically, the Pale King changed the instincts of his subjects and granted them higher thought. To get a better picture of this, let's look at two different characters, Boone and Tuck. These adorable panda bug things give us a clear display of Hallownest's effect.
Tuck was cool.
While the main difference between these two characters is that while Boone lives outside of Hallownest, Tuck lives beneath the city's capital. Basically, it appears as though Hallownest is a literal holy ground that raises the intelligence of those who dwell within. The Pale King established a path.
Oh, what the hell? So it chooses, or I guess it doesn't choose who becomes smarter, but it's just an area to give them a higher being. Interesting. Well, that does make sense because of the Howling Peaks or whatever it was called, or Howling Cliffs. I mean, all the bugs there was no like wanderings or anything like that. You see like wandering ones in Deep Nest that were like the mimics and stuff, and all the other junk. And I mean, obviously the guys in the red in City of Tears were like, I thought they were like nobles. Like, wasn't that what like the place looked like? They had like pictures of them too. Like, they were born to be normal. Well, not born to be nobles, but I guess their intelligence was raised to that of nobles. And then the ones deeper within the place are not as smart, so they're not nobles. I don't know. Maybe I understood that incorrectly.
The rain that falls down onto the city from the blue lake above didn't begin until after the kingdom collapsed.
I didn't know the blue lake was above.
The king's motivation for all this appears to have been his desire to be worshipped.
Okay.
The citizens of Hallownest believe that the Pale King created the world and everything in it. Despite the worship, the Pale King often kept himself hidden from his subjects, possibly to hide his blemishes. I mean, if you look at the size of the real Pale King to his statue in the ancient basin, the man is clearly overcompensating.
Hey! There's nothing wrong with a short king, alright?
Pale King's White Palace was also built underneath the city, separating him from his subjects even more so. At the same time, certain powers
that's interesting, is even though he wanted to be worshipped and had the desire to do so, he made everyone, believe that he was some sort of amazing figure. And maybe he didn't want them to see him because of the blemishes, like he said. But choosing to build the castle beneath the kingdom is interesting. Because if he wants to be worshipped, isn't people seeing the kingdom and the castle more of a benefit to seeing him as like more of a god and like worshipping that, even though they don't see him? It's a weird like secrecy thing, but maybe we'll get into that.
However, the use of lifeblood was seen as a taboo, and those who used it were demonized as heretics. The use of...
Oh, is that why there was that gate down in the abyss? Was that put there to stash something away and it was determined as like a heretical thing? So they kind of quote unquote banished it?
Soul for combat was also shunned.
Really?
There is next to nothing on the White Lady. But one thing we do know is that she likes to breed. Like a lot.
Okay, alright.
What exactly are pale beings? Well, we don't know for sure, but they seem to stand out even amongst higher beings as being even more powerful.
Really?
I know that's a little confusing, and then a third tram was started in Deepnest and attempted to go further into Deepnest. Not sure how useful that would have been to the bugs of Hallownest, but whatever. The Pale King...
Is there a reason for that? I thought the entire point, because before the Mantis tribe and Hallownest made a deal that the Mantis tribe is going to keep out all like the bad bugs from the Deepnest, right? So why would people want to travel to the Deepnest if that is considered like the quote-unquote danger zone? Is it the kind of thing where like people, like bugs go down and like research something or some junk like that? But like the tram there feels more or less useless to go through. Also, I feel like, well, what's up with the stagways versus the tramways? Because I thought the last stag disliked the trams. So I thought if they're both created at the same time, I think they would work in more in like tandem. It's not like one taking away from the other. But the last stag made it seem out to be that trams came after, and when they were created, they were taking away from the stagways, which made him upset.
Dear diary.
What is this? What is going on? I feel like I'm in a dream.
A single bug
We don't actually see the crystals used anywhere else in Hallownest.
I was going to say they weren't.
But they are said to contain a sort of energy. The crystals are also said to sing, if you listen very carefully.
Don't fucking do it. I know it!
Hallownest's first line of defense appeared to be a group simply known as the Five Great Knights.
Oh yeah, I just met them.
The members of this esteemed coalition were Ogrim, Hagamol, Zamir, Drya, and Isma.
I was wondering the entire time, was like, the five figures when I was fighting the white defender, I was like, some of these guys look familiar. I was like, where have I seen the big dude before? Where have I seen like the tall, skinny one before? Of course I saw them. They were dead and were statues. It makes sense. Oh my god, I was wondering. I was like, these look really familiar. I didn't say anything about it, but I was just curious.
Most of the information about these knights...
Oh, and that's his suit. That's his armor, not suit. I don't know why I said suit. Okay, that makes sense. So then the false knight took his armor after he died. Oh.
Bringing with her a collection of delicate flowers.
Oh, she's cool.
At some point, she also got into a relationship with a mantis.
Oh.
But not just any mantis. A daughter of one of the mantis lords.
Oh.
So yeah, it seems like these great knights were slaying in more ways than one.
Okay.
She also appears to be some sort of weird plant life form, but there's no information on where she's from or what her powers were.
Okay, I thought she was a god. I 100% thought she was like a god who became like fossilized and like integrated herself into the land as like this root tree creature. But I was confused why it was beneath the royal waterways. I was like, that's such an interesting random place for a god to be.
We don't know when the Colosseum was constructed or if the Pale King was involved, but one of his servants, the Pale Lurker, became a champion in the Colosseum, perhaps indicating the Pale King's approval. And
oh, he was a servant of the Pale King? Really? I thought he was just like a dude who was just good at fighting. I really thought he was just some random dude. Did he go insane over time as the Pale King like died, and that's why he just like hangs out outside the Colosseum, or he just stays there for the love of the game?
The flukes spawn from the fluke
Oh,
a giant monster with cavities in which tinier flukes live. There really isn't too much lore involved with the flukes, but I do need to point out that the fluke marm is canonically a MILF.
Listen, man, we're gonna have to have a little talk, you and I, alright? Calling that abominable godforsaken creature a MILF is an insult to MILFs everywhere, okay? Okay, first of all. Second of all, no, not a MILF, alright? We're not going that way. If any of you, I swear to God, if any of you even try to hear me out on this one, banned, comment deleted, I don't care.
That's not even debatable. The sky
It is.
is blue, 2 + 2 = 4.
I hate you.
And we all want to fight.
No! No, not the sex. Oh God. Ooh, I forgot about this guy.
The Pale King had created a population of weak and pathetic creatures. The bugs of Hallownest did not hunt for their own food and had become complacent with their comfort. This is even more obvious with the east wing of the capital. These greedy members of Hallownest's high society became complete cowards, obsessed with riches and plum.
What am I is that in game? Do I have to go find that? What am I looking at? Is that a mod? What's going on? What is this golden boy? What is happening here? Wait, again, it makes sense that they're all, high society and they're cowards, they're afraid of fighting. What's wrong with that? I feel like the hunter obviously gave us the journal, and he's a guy who's upset with society. He's like the Joker of society and wants everyone to kind of like be strong and fight for themselves. But why? In a society where everyone is okay and safe, what's the reason of trying to fight for something you don't need to fight for? Yeah, very, very topical. I don't know.
This appears to have been the Pale King's goal, for Hallownest to stand against a wasted world as a final beacon for civilization.
Okay.
And that hints of Hallownest history are littered throughout the land, with the most notable examples being the soul totems and arcane eggs.
Right, yeah, I do remember those being really old and part of the history. But really, so Hallownest is the only surviving civilization, or is like made out to be the only civilization in the world. So then how do worms survive? Because I thought the whole thing was like the worm came into what is now Hallownest. It ended up here and died here. But that means that there are other worms out there. It's not like a one-of-one situation. Which means, isn't there some like civilization of worms higher up as like higher beings? Something out there? Or do they all just kind of wander around desolately? What's the point of being a higher being if you're just wandering around desolately? Alright? That's all I'm saying.
Hushed whispers of faith kept the Radiance alive. At the summit of the Crystal Peak, a location known as Hallownest Crown, a strange collection of glyphs can be found. Joining these glyphs is a statue of the Radiance, presiding over the kingdom below. This old summit is the sole standing shrine left to the Radiance. This was built in order to keep the memory of the Radiance alive.
Okay.
The Radiance's light began
sense.
to appear in the dreams of Hallownest.
For whatever reason, I thought that thing was the Pale King. Like, I thought that statue was the Pale King. Again, I thought Radiance was the Pale King, so I guess that makes sense. But I was so confused. I thought it was like an ancient shrine left over to him. But I was wondering why it was left at such like a peak for whatever reason.
Those infected would fall into a deep sleep and awaken with broken minds.
Okay, so that's why we saw all those people, having that kind of orange effect. Why Beretta and Sly had that orange effect, and they're kind of in just like that distant state. They don't know where they were, and then they woke up. So then the first NPC we meet at the town, wasn't infected because he didn't go down, right? Because he wanted to stay, and then the infection only affects a certain area, which was what was below, so that's why he never got affected by it.
For many victims, they were reverted back to their basic instincts, carrying out the duties they once fulfilled in life, but now as mindless slaves. Those caught up in the infection were linked into the Radiance's hive mind, allowing her to control their bodies if needed.
Oh, okay. So they basically all just became like drones. They basically all just became like assimilated into the hive state. So there's just the lost vessel. The lost vessel we fought because he had the sis around him too. So he was also captured by Radiance. So does that mean when we were fighting him, and when we were fighting in his dream, that we were fighting a version of Radiance controlling him, and not actually him per se? And that also makes sense why he looked up at us after we defeated him. It's like him being freed in the final moment.
The scholars of the Soul Sanctum decided to harness the power of Soul in an attempt to fight the infection.
Okay.
This resulted in the deaths of hundreds of bugs.
Oh, dude, I think I like glossed over the fact that in that stadium, or in that fighting the Soul Master, that those were all bodies. I think I didn't mention that, or I didn't see it, because I wasn't paying close enough attention. Okay, so they harnessed all the souls.
The Mantis tribe, showing a stronger will than the common bug, were able to stave off the infection.
Okay.
However, one of the 4 Mantis Lords turned against his sisters. He and his followers took in the infection willingly, as it gave them more strength and courage. At some point during all...
Huh. Interesting. Okay, so that's why he became a traitor. That feels strange, to become a traitor in order to become a slave to something else. I don't know. And that does make sense why the Mantis Lords are like the people you fight, and after you don't actually like defeat, like kill them. You just like, they bow to you and they respect you. So they're the only, or as so far, they're the only actual beings in this entire civilization that are not insane. Like they've kept intact and are surviving. Or I guess Deepness too, right? Because the Deepness bugs still aren't infected at all. They're just kind of doing their own thing, being disgusting.
This is the same Mantis that was in a relationship with Zamir, one of the 5 Great Knights.
Okay.
But the Mantises rejected their union because of Zamir's outsideness.
How dare you, this Romeo and Juliet situation.
As a gamer,
What the fuck?
the Pale King devised a workshop in his palace, where he placed Void in armor shells imbued with soul, creating servants known as King's Molds and Wing Molds. These Void creatures were somehow imprinted with the desire of the Pale King, so that they would serve him. It isn't clear when the Pale King started making these creatures. There is evidence to imply...
Okay, so that's why when you defeat them, they're just like blobs of void. Okay, so they were put into the molds to become kind of his army.
The Pale King believed that by harnessing the void inside a pure vessel, he would be able to stop the infection and keep Hallownest lasting eternal. But his method for creating this so-called pure vessel was incredibly cruel. This is where the...
Okay, so that's why there are so many like failed ones. So the mold we're made out of is also the mold the brothers made out of. And the Pure King, or not the Pure King, the King made all of us for that, to attempt to create a pure vessel to stop Radiance. Okay, and then that's why the brother is locked up, because he was successful in containing Radiance, because when Hornet like strapped him down, then we could enter his dreams to defeat Radiance, which means there's no need for the shell anymore, because Radiance is defeated, right? Because then the Void can consume the Radiance, and we wouldn't have to worry about it. Interesting. So then what? I thought Void was I don't know if Void is an actual being or not, but it was worshipped by beings, right? As like a higher form. So if it is a higher form, and it's just kind of being used like this willy-nilly, it's okay with that?
These 2 higher beings engaged in a union of some kind, resulting in the creation of several eggs that were dropped down into the abyss. There, the Void seeped into these eggs, corrupting the offspring of the Pale King and the White Lady. This act resulted in the creation of the vessels.
I see. I should have like watched 2 more minutes. I get it. Okay, so they're not all born of the moles. They're born all from them, but infected with Void as some combination. Oh, that is cruel. What the hell? To just throw a bunch of not even born children down there and just be like, yeah, you're soldiers now. Good luck. You don't pass the test, you die. Good luck.
The big question surrounding this moment is why was the Hollow Knight chosen over any other vessel? One common theory is that the Pale King took these vessels back to the White Palace and evaluated them using his giant collection of buzzsaws.
He made them go through parkour. I love that idea. I love the idea. It's like, all right, you're all gonna go through some trials. All right, I'm gonna need you to pogo over this saw into another saw and then dash through it and then super dash. If you can't do that, you're cut. You're cut. It's just like a fucking shitty version of Wipeout. What are we doing? We're trying to fight a god. We're trying to fight a literal god here, and you're making them do parkour. What's going on?
The vessels were hatched down at the bottom of the abyss, and the first one to make it to the top was chosen by the Pale King. In a memory of this event, we see vessels falling from above back down into the pit of the abyss.
I guess that's true.
Perhaps these vessels weren't being cast down into the abyss, but fell while trying to escape out of it. The lore tablet outside the abyss appears to support this theory. It reads, "Our pure vessel has ascended. Beyond lies only the refuse and regret of its creation."
So he basically waited until a baby who goo goo gaga no learn how walk crawl learn to fucking double jump, wall jump, climb all the way up immediately. He was waiting for some like bullshit evolution to come out of it. He's like, yeah, you're weird. We'll take you. Is that what this is? That's crazy.
Despite being locked up in the tower, the collector is still spotted by the hunter at some point, which either means this only happened recently, or the hunter has been farting around in Hallownest for a long ass time. We have no idea what.
The hunter seems like an ancient being. I don't know if I'm wrong about that or not, but he seems like he rebelled against society and was used to how things were being. So, like, was the hunter also a god of some sort? Well, he's just like a higher being of something.
Hera would eventually agree to become a dreamer, in exchange for a child.
Okay.
The Pale King agreed, and the two engaged in a dalliance. White Lady was okay with this arrangement. In fact, she might have been watching from the closet.
What the fuck, man? why you gotta add that part in, man? Okay, yeah, I do remember Hornet. Obviously, I know Hera is Hornet's mother. And I think I assumed that it was the Pale King that was the father. Okay, so she was just so, I don't want to say desperate, but she was just so desiring a child that she would become a dreamer and a seal for it, even though she doesn't really get to see the child. Right? Because, like, was she giving everything up to, like, have a couple moments with the child because she could conceive a child?
So perhaps she desired the Pale King's pale seed so that her child could be of high birth.
Oh, okay.
As for Hera, we're not really sure what protected her.
I was gonna say, Deepness didn't really have protection.
In-game. We don't know where this creature is hiding, but whoever it is, they really suck at their job. Now there appears to be one more element.
Yeah, actually, okay, wait, now that I think of it, technically, what happened, because we went into the big cocoon thing, we saw, like, the cult dudes, we sat on the bench, and then we got yoinked by them. If that was, like, a defense mechanism or something, shouldn't they have not brought us directly to Hera, who was dreaming? But obviously, it seemed like they were taking us there to die. It was not, like, a pleasant experience. It wasn't supposed to be, at least.
The Hollow Knight had been tarnished by an idea instilled. While the game never explicitly tells us what that idea was, it does hint strongly at what it might be. Hidden away in the White Palace is a memory
like
showing
love,
the Hollow
emotion?
Knight and the Pale King sharing a moment. The Hollow Knight might have developed a parental bond to the Pale King.
Okay, yeah.
And its final thoughts were, "Pale worm, what good to see a demise unavoidable?" This could imply that the Pale King always knew that his kingdom was doomed. All he could do was delay the inevitable. This is likely the moment when Hallownest as it once was entirely collapsed.
Okay, that dialogue does add up because he foresaw the future. So it was inevitable. He knew it was inevitable, but he wanted to keep his dream of an eternal kingdom. So even then, he was like, yeah, we'll just do it. So in the end of the day, I guess the Hollow Knight, or chosen for the vessel, is just unlucky, right? Like, he could have chosen any of them, really, and that same shit could have happened anyways, right? Like, it would have been contained radiance, but it still would have leaked out anyways, so none of them were perfect. Because no perfect vessel would arrive. Because in that case, am I technically the perfect vessel? Like, is the knight we're playing the perfect vessel? Because after, right, we contain the radiance again in the bad ending, and then the black egg is closed, but it's closed with no seals. But it seems that all the infection is still sealed regardless. So does that mean what he foresaw possibly was the kingdom becoming eternal, but all its citizens were mindless and kind of like slaves to their own basic instincts? But we come along and we completely seal off the infection, and maybe it might restore something. It might like get rid of more of infection. So the infected bugs that are already infected are fine, but then the new bugs to come won't be infected. So the kingdom will keep living on and being eternal. Is that like a possible theory? I don't know if that makes sense at all. Because like we don't have any seals, right? In the basic bad ending, we don't get any seals. We only get a seal when Hornet is trapped with us. And even then, I can't imagine it would do much good. Because, I mean, the original Hollow Knight needed 3 seals.
When it became clear that the Hollow Knight was not able to contain the Radiance, the Pale King resorted to his final plan. He fucked off, hiding himself, his White Palace,
That's
and his
kind of
Pale
funny.
Court. It seems as though the Sea of Void itself actually convinced this bug to betray his king and turn off the lighthouse. Now I know what you're thinking. Exactly how conscious is the Void? Is the Void able to think for itself? Can it form strategies? Does it host a podcast?
Don't do that, please.
She decided to place bindings on herself in order to keep her from spreading her seed. She claims that this is because of the shame she feels in helping the Pale King create the vessels. But honestly, it's probably just her kink.
Okay, man. Why are we... First of all, why are we kink shaming? Alright? First of all. Second of all, why are we doing her like that? I thought she was cool.
Despite the kingdom's woes at large, fortunately this fate did not befall one of the fandom's favorite characters. The Menderbugs continued to fix the broken signs.
What's going on, man?
From a diary entry,
is this
Menderbug
something that I just didn't...
had found himself
I'm not involved in the community enough to know this, man.
Relationship.
Hello again, diary.
Oh god.
Not long now until the next Minder Bash for a stealthy type.
What are we talking about? What is going on? I wanted concrete lore, not orgies.
Some moths can believe that Un went into hiding, but it appears as though Un is, in fact, calling to her children.
I see, so that's why the knight was there.
Let's turn our attention back to the moths. After all, it's their god that keeps killing everybody. While the moth tribe didn't fare too well, actually, as pretty much the entire tribe died out. The only known...
Okay. So that's why she kept going on and on about our tribes, like, not traitor or, like, sin or whatever. That's why she kept going on and on about, because the Radiance was from them. So they took it on as, like, their issue that the Radiance is destroying the kingdom because they changed to the Pale God. That's so fucked up because it's not even their fault, right? Weren't they born from Radiance? Radiance birthed them, and then that's not like something they asked for. It's not like they asked for Radiance to be their god. I don't know why they took it on as their sin.
In the Howling Cliffs rests the corpse of a member of the Grim Troop. The task of this bug appears to have been to seek out Hallownest, so that the troop might be summoned to the kingdom in the future. The Grim Troop are basically a group of bugs that serve a higher being known as the Nightmare Heart. The troop keeps the heart alive by feeding on the nightmares of fallen kingdoms. This process also involves sacrificing the troop master to his own child because, hey, look at this cool ass boss battle.
Okay, ignoring that. So the bug, that makes sense then, because the bug I saw in Howling Cliffs is unlike any of the bugs we've seen in the entire game. So it does make sense that they were not originally from Hallownest, that they came away from Hallownest to there. But my issue is that if they can be summoned whenever, are they all some sort of higher beings? Obviously they worship like whatever he said, the Nightmare Heart or whatever. So they worship a higher being, but like how do they live? Like how do they live generally? Because it says they feed off of fallen kingdoms. That means that there are other kingdoms. They do exist. Obviously we say the Hallownest is the last surviving eternal one. So then how does the trope survive? Like where do they survive? Is it just like Hollownest is the only actual civilization left, but there are other people, bugs living just outside of it in very, very small dosages. Because that makes more sense. I thought it was just like a whole like extinction thing where like everyone's fucking dead except Hollownest.
This strengthened infection prompted the departure of the Weavers back to their old home. Now this old home might actually be Farloom, the kingdom in which Hollow Knight Silksong takes place. But the amount of knowledge we have about Silksong right now is pathetic, so I'm not saying that's confirmed.
Until when did it come out? A month ago? A month and a half ago? I don't know. I'm sure someone's already made a lore video that includes all the lore of Silksong with all the lore of Hollow Knight. I am very interested to see how they intertwine. Obviously, because I'm more involved in the Silksong lore since I played that first.
These events are depicted in the Quirrell prequel comic, which also shows an
These
image of
comics
the
are
Hollow
cool.
Knight with a pre-cracked shell.
I didn't know they had comics.
This could mean that once the chains are broken, the Hollow Knight screams with that familiar Radiance roar and pursues the knight. As the fight
Oh, I
progresses,
also just noticed that his armor here is blackened because of the void as compared to the pure white and pure vessel. Cool detail.
As the fight progresses, the Hollow Knight starts trying to kill itself, Quirrell style.
Do you remember that?
But then the Radiance starts using the Hollow Knight's body to perform her own attacks.
Ah.
Once defeated, she tells the Knight that it is free of the blemishes that made the Hollow Knight a flawed vessel.
Because we lost
From
our
this
memories?
dialogue, it is implied that the Knight truly is a pure vessel, capable of containing the Radiance successfully.
I was right.
But it's
about
not
that.
quite that simple, so
Oh.
we're gonna have to dig a bit deeper into this. Basically, we're gonna need to answer a simple question. What exactly does it mean to be a Hollow Knight? Despite the White Lady's words, we have
Who
a
the
number
hell
of
is that?
instances where the characters Hollow
Is that
Knight.
only a Steel Soul
Despite-
thing? Yeah, Steel Soul Jin.
Her eyes have been clouded by time, and she can be tricked into thinking that Ogrim is in the room when the Knight is wearing the Defender's Crest.
Oh,
charm.
that's cool.
There's no explicit reason why the Moth Tribe was dreaming about this supposed wielder so much, but it seems like they believe the wielder would wash away the crimes the Moth Tribe committed by turning their backs on the Radiance. The Seer seems to know
Oh,
that the
okay. So they thought their crimes wasn't that Radiance existed, it was turning their back on Radiance, which impacted why the Radiance infected the kingdom and actually wanted to attack the kingdom. I see. Okay. So then I guess another question I have is why is the Radiance so powerful if it's like barely hanging on by a thread, by the few little shrines and thoughts held up in keeping its existence alive? Surely that can't be enough power to keep them as like a godlike status to infect so much and change that much. Is it like everyone they infect becomes part of its power or increases its power so that every time they infect it, it makes them believe in Radiance, which increases its power more? See, that would make sense. That would make sense why it's so powerful. Otherwise, I wouldn't seem to understand why it can infect so many bugs at once.
This ending is called the Dream No More ending. The Radiance is gone, and Hallownest is finally free from her infection.
But does that mean that the bugs are restored to their normal state to live freely? Or the ones that are already infected, it's too late, they're still infected and gone insane, and there's no reverting it? It's just the ones that who aren't insane yet are free to live however. So then I guess like generationally wise in the future, it will be restored to like a former like peaceful state. I guess either way, that's like a good ending, right? Like the eternal part of it is gone in terms of all of them being slaves to their own basic instincts, but they get to still live on.
After roughly 40 minutes of intense agony,
It's
and
40
tedious
minutes?
boss
Oh,
battles,
fuck
the
me.
the Knight seems to transform into this monstrosity.
Whoa.
Now this creature goes by many names.
That's so cool.
The God of Gods, the
Oh,
Lord Shade,
that's
the
badass.
Devourer, the
That's
Void
so
Entity.
badass.
But I don't really like any of those.
What?
So I will just call him Bill.
Okay.
Bill Void starts leaking out of her eyes, and it appears as though Bill is making an escape back into the real world, which is probably a bad thing.
It does seem like a
Finally,
really
we
bad
see
thing.
Hornet standing outside of the Black Egg as the infection begins to disappear.
I can't wait to
from
get these
nearby
endings.
mines. Hornet hears footsteps coming from inside the Black Egg as the Hollow Knight reveals itself to her, and the two prepare for combat.
Oh no!
So from this cut, as it turns out, those delicate flowers that Zamir has stockpiled
I mean, that we
up her
got that
ass
confirmed
are
from
actually
Silksong.
useful for something. They contain a strange power that even deters the White Lady from touching
Oh,
one.
those are the fucking flowers from Silksong too. Are they? Are they right? That makes sense, right? Because the Hornet dives into the void with the flower and keeps all the void away. So those are the same flowers. But didn't they say, okay, well, I guess I don't really know where Farloom is, and according to like Hollow Nest. But doesn't that mean that, because I thought the flowers were supposed to be rare, no? Didn't those like 3 shaman dudes have to die to create the flower from their dreams? So how much earlier or later is Farloom? Because the flowers were not rare, obviously there's a lot of them here, right?
The flower itself is described as giving off a pale light, which appears to connect it to the pale beings. Like I said before, pale beings appear to be some form of top-tier gods. As of right now, we are only aware of 2, the Pale King and the White Lady, but the fact that Zamir brought
And then Grandmother Silk from Silksong. Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay, so they're all God. I probably should preface this with a spoiler warning. I don't give a shit about you guys. And then when we fight Void Lace, would Lace technically be a higher being? But Lace is also was eaten by the Void. So doesn't that mean she is the joint of Void and Pale Being or Light or whatever the fuck? I don't know.
Where did things like the Void even come from to begin with? How much bigger is the world beyond Hallownest? Is Bardoon into butt stuff? But of course, that's the appeal of a game like Hollow Knight.
Why? Also,
Bardoon into butt
I wanted
stuff?
to know more about Bardoon, bro. He seemed cool.
Plus, if we didn't have questions like this to waste our time on, then what else would we be doing with our lives?
True.
Go outside?
No!
Ugh.
No! Really well made video, first of all. Holy shit, how old is this video? Let me take a look. 5 years ago. I'm starting to piece it all together now. I understood, like, I knew a decent bit of that beforehand, just from, like, guessing and actually playing the game. But now with all that together, that makes so much sense. That's so interesting, though, that I do think that the Pale King just foresaw all of that, right? He foresaw his own doom. He foresaw the Void coming up. He foresaw everything going to shit. And he even foresaw us, the player character, becoming the pure vessel. So I think actually the ending where we contain it, and we contain it perfectly, we contain Radiance perfectly, all the infection is gone, and the kingdom can actually last eternal, is like the Pale King's ending. Is like the ending that he desired. That's so cool, man. Oh my god. That helps my fucking understanding of it a lot. I'm really curious to see if he's going to make a Silksong video, or like a video tying in Hollow Knight and Silksong together for their lores. But that was awesome. Shout out from Mossbag for that. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of people have seen this video. That was dope, though.